Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everybody doing? It is the RambleCast. This is September 17th, 2025. I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and with me I have Corbin Davenport.
Hello.
Well, boys, girls, and everybody in between, and those who are non-binary. What are you feeling? How is this week turning out? It's been certainly something. Lots of things happening elsewhere in the world. Maybe not as much about technology, but certainly some things.
Yes, I'm very tired from the last month, and then yesterday I out of nowhere had like a wicked cold and my tooth kind of hurt. So I'm doing great. Having a blast. Oh, I forgot to put in the topics. We have to do the techathon shout out. So I'll put this in the YouTube chat super quick.
Yeah, I put it into next week's topic list just because, but yeah.
Yes, I mean I think probably whoever's watching now has already knows. But Techathon is September 27th. It is a charity live stream that's gonna have me and Cody and other tech writers and some software developers and other people, mostly tech people, and we're all going to raise money for Doctors Without Borders, and hopefully it will be a fun time. Gonna do some commentary sections like this. We're gonna play some games. It's gonna be a fun time, and hopefully raise a lot of money dollars. But if you have not already, go follow the Twitch account so you know when it's live, or set a reminder on your cellular telephone to go to techathon.live on the 27th. I think it's starting at 11 a.m., 10 or 11, one of those.
The guy doing the scheduling doesn't know. That's always a good sign.
Well, I did the scheduling like a week and a half ago, so that was a long time ago. It's in a Google Sheet somewhere, but
for what it's worth, at some point I need to see it again so I actually know what times I'm on.
Yeah, I mean yours hasn't changed since whatever I told you, but yes, I will send out like an email blast with the entire or get the whole schedule on the website or something soon. Just the aforementioned illness has stopped me, but it will not stop me entirely. Yesterday I was doing some technical prep for that because it's been a while since I used OBS. So I was installing that again. I was grabbing the old template files. I couldn't find the templates from the last one, but the ones from 2021 were still in a folder somewhere. So I grabbed those. I was updating them. All that fun stuff. I'm glad that the browser plugin in OBS is a lot better these days.
Yes.
So now I'm still gonna do like a technical. So if you want to see the technical test, I guess go follow me on Twitch at Corbin Davenport. But I was testing it, and it seems like we can just run the whole video call from inside the browser in OBS, which is what I wanted to do at some point. I don't know if I did it. Maybe that was after the file I found, but I get the whole video call just containing OBS with some custom CSS, and it looks pretty nice. So all that fun stuff. No Streamlabs desktop. Yeah, I forgot that existed until I was starting to add the Tiltify donation widgets, and they mentioned Streamlabs. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. But I don't know. OBS seems fine. It appeared to work. I'll see with the technical test, but it seemed fine.
Well, also Streamlabs desktop is Windows only, and it is so different in my opinion, so much more annoying to use than OBS. I know that everyone's opinion will vary, but man, I just do not like the way Streamlabs is set up.
Yeah, at least for me, I will be streaming from my Windows PC because that's where Jackbox and Overwatch and all the other games are located. But the cross-platform thing is nice because whenever I'm done with the template, it's just gonna go in a GitHub somewhere, and whoever is streaming can go download it from there, and we can share it easily. So that's nice. Um, but who's talking about the weather? 50. Where is it? 52 degrees.
I could be wrong, but I believe what happened is you said you had a wicked cold, and that was misunderstood to be it is wicked cold.
Oh no, the weather. No, I was very sick. I was ill.
Yeah. So yeah.
Although it is getting a little bit chilly here, but definitely not cold yet. It's just like my AC doesn't really have to run for most of the day at this point, which is nice.
Yeah. So, anyway, yes, by all means, come check out Techathon. Donate if you would, if you are so inclined, and let's help Doctors Without Borders, because let's be honest, it's a mad world out there right now, and everybody could use pretty much all the help they can get.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll have more to say about Techathon next week, since it will be, as of next week's stream, Techathon will only be, 3 days away? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yes, it is next Saturday, not this coming Saturday.
Correct. So yeah, maybe we'll do a little bit of behind the scenes talk about it in addition to what we've already said, and who knows?
Yeah, I'll find my I'll put my Twitch in the chat so people can follow, and if you see I'm live, you can join and tell me my audio's fucked up and everything, so I know. I'd like to know during the test and not when there's lots of people watching.
Well, let me know when you're gonna do it, and I'll hop on with you.
Okay. Yeah, I do need to enlist some people for the call as well. So.
Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything else to hit before we move on. I don't think so. Okay. So, on the subject of events that are coming up with scheduled dates, going completely the opposite, but still, someone is asking for your money. Amazon. It's back, baby. Prime Day.
Yes.
Round
the
3 of the year
are true.
This is the third Prime Day of the year, I think.
I try to block them out. I don't want anything to do with them. But yes, there is more Amazon Prime Days coming up on October 7th to 8th of this year, which Amazon says is kicking off the 2025 holiday shopping season with millions of deals. So the holidays now starts at the beginning of October for those of you keeping track at home. I think that pretty much the same as every other Prime Day. This would probably be functionally the same. It's the same deals on random toys, electronics, some clothes, all that stuff. So if you're trying to game this out and be like, should I buy now or should I buy on Black Friday or should I buy leading up to do whatever you want. It's gonna be whatever price it is. I'm not expecting, like, if I was gonna like bet on it, I don't think there's gonna be like a big difference between this and whatever happens around Black Friday, because it's already like a curve. Like, stuff was already going on sale well before Black Friday, so it's probably gonna be about the same. The only big difference I can think of is the scale, where Prime Day is Amazon plus all the retailers that are trying to directly compete with Amazon. Like I'm sure everyone's going to announce sales around this time that are called something else, like Target and Walmart and Best Buy and the usual suspects. But Black Friday is still more like general retail. So I don't know if there's like a more niche store you like going to. They might not do anything for this, but they would still do something for, around Black Friday times. So that's the only difference I can think of. Don't stress out. Don't stress about it too much. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the same rules always apply. Most things are not really going to be on sale. They're just going to have their prices increase on like October 6th. And then some sort of Prime Day sale will pop up on those things that bring them back down to roughly the same price. Maybe a little lower, sometimes a little higher. Always install some sort of tool that lets you check price history on items. That's kind of a given. And in general, don't buy things you don't need or want.
Right. You go in there with the mission. You have your list of things to buy. Buy what's ever on sale. Don't get distracted. Buy the stuff that you need that are on sale, and then get out.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Also, it would be so funny if Trump announced new tariffs just before this happens. Or Black Friday in general. That would be pretty funny.
I would kind of enjoy seeing that.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah.
So, let's see. Trying to think if there's any other. I know I have mentioned doing this in the past. I will actually do it this time. I'm gonna have some affiliate links up for Amazon going into Prime Day, because I need to start monetizing. So if anyone feels so inclined, click through those before doing any of your purchases. That's basically it. Let's see. Yeah, otherwise, I don't know. It's just Prime Day. We've been through this, 30 times now? Everybody knows the routine.
Yeah, just be aware of it and don't lose your mind. Like, it's not going to be crazy. It's just the usual sales.
But speaking of people who've lost their minds, like that transition, Andrew Yang.
Speaking of capitalism.
Yes, speaking of really rampant blind capitalism and people who've lost their minds, Andrew Yang and Mark Cuban.
Yes. Yeah, dude, Mark Cuban has fallen off so substantially in the last 6 months. He's getting into so many fights with random people on Blue Sky. It's very funny. It's like Elon Musk in progress. But so Andrew Yang, who is probably most notable for being a presidential candidate in the U.S. in the 2020 election, whose only policy position was universal basic income, which is a good policy position, but that was his only one. So that didn't work out so well. And then I think he tried running for mayor of New York City or something, but he's back.
There was also a brief stint where he tried to start a third political party.
I think he's still doing that.
But yeah, that's fair.
I'm sure he's starting a political party in the same way that Elon is starting a political party, which is to say it doesn't matter.
It's a tax scheme.
Yeah. So his new thing is he's starting a mobile virtual network operator, or NVMO. So same deal as Mint Mobile, Visible, Boost Mobile. One of the things that are not the big three. There's only three of them now. But I'll just quote from TechCrunch here. Using T-Mobile's network, Noble Mobile offers a $50 monthly cell plan with unlimited talk, text, and 5G data. If you use less than 20 gigs of data in a given month, you get money back in the form of Noble Cash. Like credit card points, these can be redeemed for rewards, or they can be cashed out for about $1 for each gigabyte you don't use below the 20 gig threshold. I'm as guilty of doom scrolling as the next person, but knowing that doom scrolling is actually costing me money makes me feel dumb, Yang told TechCrunch. Now my wallet and financial incentives are tied to what I want to do, which is to look up more and use my phone a little bit less.
I
And this was they TechCrunch also noted that they raised a $10.3 million seed round in venture capital, which is extremely funny. Again, it's so easy to get that I'm in the wrong business. I need to go over there. But the other like somewhat weird thing here is he mentioned Andrew Yang mentioned Mark Cuban as inspiration for this because Mark Cuban has a like an online pharmacy thing that is designed to be an affordable alternative, and I know that's like that's like his, every millionaire and billionaire has like their one thing that is they designed to they can point to and be like, look, I'm good for society actually. So that's his one thing. But that was supposedly the inspiration for this, but it's just kind of a weird thing of Andrew Yang trying to be a Ryan Reynolds of a Mint Mobile situation, except Ryan Reynolds is is famous for other things. So I don't know if this will work out, but
I would even argue Ryan Reynolds is not famous for having owned Mint Mobile. I don't think anybody came to know who Ryan Reynolds was because of that.
Right. That's like how the celebrity like spokesperson thing are supposed to work. Like it's supposed to be someone that people like and want to know what they're up to. I don't think anyone has thought about Andrew Yang in 4 years. Again, unless you're in the circles that are like paying way too much attention to U.S. politics, and you saw him like every 6 months say something dumb, and then crawl back into the news ether.
I would actually venture, just going back to Ryan Reynolds for a second, I would venture more people learned about him because he bought into I believe it was a whiskey company. No, gin. Sorry, it was gin.
Something.
Aviator Gin. Yeah, he bought into a gin company, and I think more people learned about him through that than they did through Mint Mobile. But I suppose I could be mistaken. Yeah, so anyway, man, this is why nobody cares, dude.
No, nobody cares. It's just funny. Like, if this is also like one of the worst deals I've seen for NVMO in a long time.
Yeah.
$50, like, it's just ignoring Andrew Yang for a moment, which I know is hard to do because he's so funny, but ignoring that for a moment, $50 a month for 20 gigs, and then there's like a weird like cashback scheme on top of that. I think Visible is like 25 and it's unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Cricket has a plan that's I think they just redid theirs. I want to say theirs was like 35 for their quote unquote unlimited plan. But like, there's a bunch of, their cheapest now is if I have one line, it is $35 a month for select unlimited at Cricket Wireless, and a lot of them are hovering around that point. So not really a good deal. And again, like, all those companies are like actual, existing companies. So no one needs to do this. There's other options for phones service if you need it. It's just kind of it's interesting in that it's the next in a increasing number of weird celebrity endorsed phone plans. This is what you do now, I guess. You get to a certain point and you go to the white label NVMO provider and you're like, hi, I would like to be a network now. They just let you do it.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry, but this is the new version of for those that remember this, because I think I think I'm probably the only person who remembers this as an adult, but because I'm old. But it's just like when I think it was Travelocity, but it could have been Expedia, whichever one. They made it so you could sign up and be your own travel agent. And you could basically direct people to a website that was basically just a very poorly reskinned version of their website with just basically the search boxes and a couple of things for looking up like travel details, or well, making travel bookings. And if somebody booked through your affiliate system, then you got credit for it. That's what this is. Like, this is just the if you have $1,000,000 version of that, that's all this is. It's you got to pay a little bit more up front. You, in theory, might have to pay a little bit to become part of their support network, but that's it. You know, if I had, I doubt it even takes $1,000,000. If I had probably 200,000, I bet I could contact T-Mobile and be like, hey, I want to start up Cody Mobile, and they'd be like, cool, send us a check, we'll sign you up, we'll get you integrated, and you can start advertising anytime you like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you need that. I was looking at whatever company was powering the who's the paying for company that's evil?
I don't remember, but oh man, it's right on the tip of my
Klarna.
Yeah,
Klarna. When Klarna announced they're a carrier now, I looked at their provider, and yeah, it's just like a white label. Like, you go to them and be like, hi, I want to network on this company's network, and they're like, all right, here you go, here's your SIM card distribution.
Yeah,
so it's pretty accessible now. It definitely, if I was like another digit or two on my salary, I had that much expendable income, I would consider starting like a poop mobile, just because it'd be funny, and in the corner of my phone it would say poop. I mean, five bars of poop. So
if at all possible, you got to do a poop emoji.
Right. Yeah. So it's not that hard, and it's just funny that this is what Andrew Yang is up to after failing at everything else.
Yeah. So, my advice: don't go with Noble Mobile.
Yeah, just like there are at least 24 other NVMOs that will give you better pricing and service.
Yeah, this just seems so dumb.
Yeah,
kind of like most things these days. So speaking of dumb,
speaking of people you wish would go away.
Oh man, no kidding.
Andreessen Horowitz.
But after many long years on the edge of our seats, the TikTok drama is nearly over. It's the terror that we've been enduring with the possibility that TikTok, of all things, could be banned from the US. Yeah.
Yes. So Trump extended the due date for TikTok to find a seller in the US for, I think, the fourth time, each of those illegally. He's not supposed to do that. There is, in fact, a law that Congress signed that said it was supposed to be sold or blocked by now, which, again, that law is dumb, but that's what the law says. And he's kind of, doing whatever he wants. And the current rumor, according to Reuters, is that TikTok's U.S. operations would be controlled by a investor consortium, including Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Just like it's really nice seeing like all the most like evil companies, coming together and being, cooperating on a team. According to Reuters, the framework is being finalized by the U.S. and China, or I'm sorry, that was the Wall Street Journal. Reuters is just quoting them, citing people familiar with the matter. A new company will be created to operate TikTok, with U.S. investors holding a roughly 80% stake and Chinese shareholders holding the rest. The company would also have an American-dominated board with one member designated by the U.S. government. So we've got state ownership of Intel, partial state ownership of TikTok. I'm sure this is not related whatsoever to TikTok being a popular platform for left-leaning speech and content. Probably nothing to worry about there. Current users of the app will be asked to shift to a new app, which TikTok has built and is testing. So I know that was rumored for a while, that like part of the like the US would never get like the entirety of TikTok sold off. There would just be a US app, in the same way that TikTok has a separate app for China. And just the US app would be where the US people have to, hang out. So, Oracle's going to run some infrastructure for this, which they, wanted to do back when this was first discussed a couple of years ago. They were in the running to operate some of TikTok's US infrastructure after, I don't remember if it was just servers or they wanted to buy them outright. I remember Microsoft was in the discussions to buy them, but yeah. So that's a fun thing that's happening. That is completely unnecessary and made up, and will probably have some not fun effects. I don't imagine that searching for like Palestine on the US TikTok app is going to yield the same results, or insert anything else that the Trump administration doesn't want to talk about. So good times had by all.
Yeah, this is, I mean,
also, if you're a TikTok user in the US, get ready for Oracle to have its claws into your phone. That's great.
Yeah, because there's nothing better than a company that's that committed felony corporate espionage against Microsoft, a company that has historically basically gouged all of its customers under contracts so that they could basically force them into more contracts, charge them an arm and leg, and basically mistreat them in every conceivable way, with software that, in my own opinion, is gotta be the literal worst database software that has ever been invented. So
yes, and that whole thing where they tried to they went all the way to the Supreme Court to argue that they could own APIs, like just the concept.
Yeah.
Again, great people over there.
So just remember, that's what will be in their new user agreements.
Yeah. Although
just
now they
think
have
about that. Their user agreements are going to be written by a company that tried to do all of those things and succeeded at some of them. So yeah, just remember that.
Although now they have some of the heat taken off of them because Broadcom has become the new super evil IT company. I've seen a lot of people complaining about how they bought like VMware and are just like telling every VMware customer to just eat shit.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing. I love corporate America.
Yeah, it's amazing how it not only has it gotten worse, it's gotten worse at like record pace.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't it great?
I love capitalism. Okay,
so
jarring shift in tone.
Well, really quick question.
Okay.
Because maybe I missed it, but I know that there's going to be a separate app for the US users, but are they still going to be on the same network? As in, if somebody in, let's say, Europe posts a video, will someone in the US see it? Or do they have to go to the other app and network to see that?
I don't think anyone knows yet. My assumption would be yes, except for whatever the US app overrides. That would be my guess, because again, like, what this was actually about has changed like 50 times. So I don't know if anyone even cares about this at this point. But
Oh, yeah.
the main, initial argument for this was like China is exerting its influence upon the United States population with its algorithm that pushes people to think a certain way or whatever. And so I'm guessing the US app would have a different algorithm, but maybe the same content would be available. It's just, showing it differently or whatever. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows yet.
And within that, I would love to see how the money is going to be. I'm sure we'll never really get that detail, but I'm curious how the money that's destined for people posting on TikTok, I want to see how that money is getting worked out, because I have a feeling basically everyone is about to lose money. Or at least whenever US is involved, both US viewers and people publishing in the US. I think we're now probably going to see a scenario where that there are more people reaching into that pocket before it gets to the people who are posting. And TikTok was already notoriously a really not very sustainable income source for most of its, or like almost the entirety of its user base or content creator base. So yeah,
you just
I think
didn't really make money until you started like hawking products on TikTok Shop.
Exactly. And even then, I think that's probably going to see the same, like an extra set of hands will be reaching in before you get your cut. So there's probably no scenario where if you're on TikTok now, and unless you're making like massive amounts of money, I don't think you're going to come away from this without thinking, you know what, it's just time to go somewhere else. At least I'm hoping most people think that way, because with Oracle owning any part of it, you should not use this.
I mean, it's probably just going to be a paid subscription for anyone who is registered Democrat voter.
You joke, or maybe you don't. I'm not sure, but yeah, for real.
I mean, it is a joke. Remains to be seen if I'm joking.
Yeah. Oh, so anyway.
Speaking of platforms that are not going to be partially owned by Oracle, Mastodon. We haven't talked about Mastodon much because they're not really doing like software updates. Really, they're
did we not talk about this like 2 weeks ago?
It's come up multiple times. There's been stages of this, but one of the big features that people asked of Mastodon during the initial waves was the ability to do quote posts or quote tweets, but agnostic. And there's a lot of back and forth discussion. I will say I was personally against it initially because I saw it kind of just turn into like really annoying and toxic discourse on Twitter, and I didn't want to see that encouraged elsewhere. I think I've come around on that because I've seen Blue Sky implement a lot of controls for it that make it very easy to stop that if you don't want to partake in that or see it. And the Mastodon devs have talked about it. Some Mastodon apps already have it like bolted on, where if there's a post that has like a link to another Mastodon post, it will display it like a quote, but it's not really, and not all apps do that, so it's not super consistent. Howdy, Hoopy, Nils, and Austin. Howdy.
And Carson.
I forgot Carson.
Well,
sorry.
And from the start of the stream, also, of course, Diablo and Alyssa.
Yes, hello everyone. Sorry, I dropped my Lego.
Don't step on it.
Yeah, I don't. That's fine. So the devs have talked about implementing it better with some basic controls, so it doesn't turn into just what it was on Twitter.
Twitter, but not Elon.
Yeah. So they implemented in the previous Mastodon server update all of the like backend infrastructure for this, and the next update, which they talked about in a blog post this week, they're showing how how it looks and works fully activated. So they mentioned that quote post functionality will arrive on Mastodon.online and Mastodon.social next week, and will be available in Mastodon 4.5 soon after. That's the update for servers, not the app. So it depends on the server you're using updating. But most of the big ones do that pretty quickly. And it works pretty much the same if the author of a post has enabled quoting. So I don't know if that's enabled by default. But if they've enabled that, you'll see an option to quote their post under a new menu accessed from under the boost button. And it works just, like everywhere else. You can add a little comment, and then when it shows up on someone's timeline, your comment is above their post. And this gives people the option to remove their post from a quote if they're uncomfortable. And it looks like the default is that it's on, but you can go into settings and turn it off for all future posts. And it is also a post level option. So if you're like normally okay with it, but then you're going to post something that's kind of spicy, you can just turn it off for that one. That's cool. And some other options here, but generally good stuff here. Definitely one of those things that I would have liked to see a long time ago, but I understand limited resources, and they wanted to make sure it was done correctly the first time, because when you're running a big decentralized network of servers, it's really annoying to change something afterwards. So good stuff. Yeah, Hoopy said it is aggressively Mastodon, and that this feature took literal years to get done. Yeah.
I get it, but yeah, I remember saying back when the big push to Mastodon happened, as refugees escaped Twitter, this needed to be there then. There were a lot of features that needed to be there then. This one should have been there, and the biggest problem was Eugene and certainly some of the other people involved were also adamantly against it. That they designed almost intentionally a system that was going to be less compatible. And yeah, I think that was their really big mistake. It could be argued other ways, I'm sure, but yeah, I think that they sort of screwed the pooch, and it cost them a lot in the efforts in trying to get people to migrate over. Because look, at the end of the day, and I remember saying this back then, quote posting is a tool that can be used correctly or incorrectly, but fundamentally it is just part of the communication, and it's a part of communication people have really learned how to use. So yeah, people just expect it, and not having it there kind of just hurts that standard of communication.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's finally there. I'm still using both Mastodon and Blue Sky. I'm posting most stuff to both in Buffer, and checking my timelines on both and such as much as I can. The last few weeks have been really depressing, so I have not been open to either of those apps all that much for my own mental health. But I do use both of them. They're both good. And my opinion on Mastodon has not changed in the last year after it became clear that like it's not the next Twitter. I think it's just going to continue being the other place where some people hang out, and it will continue for forever as all the other platforms expand and condense. It's gonna stick around. It's the Linux of social media, for better and worse. You know, Linux is good for a lot of things. Other things, not so much. The IRC of Twitter. Ooh, I don't know. I think the IRC of Twitter. I think that's more like email chains. I think about that level of social communication, something like that. But yeah, Alyssa mentioned Borderlands 4 news. It looks like the only thing here is there's been a lot of people complaining about the performance of Borderlands 4, and they made a post that says, "Please shut up. We're trying to fix it," and that's it.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like it. Honestly, it doesn't really feel like news.
No, it's. I think this is what they're gonna do anyway, because this is just how all big games work. Is they come out and they're very buggy,
Yeah,
and the next 3 months, all the devs who are still there, who haven't got laid off, are just rapid fixing bugs, and that's how this always goes.
yeah. I don't see this as being a response to pushback really at all. Because the first thing they're saying is, of course, the PC players are running into bugs and crashes, and they've got fixes coming. Yeah, okay. Literally every game that comes out, at some point they announce almost exactly this. Like, maybe not precisely these words, but close enough. Especially since PC has more variability in the hardware build. They're usually fixing a lot of various like interaction issues. And then just in general, like it's commonplace. Like every game that comes out has to go through at least a few months of sort of let's fix the performance and bugs. That happened with Starfield. Obviously, it very famously happened with Cyberpunk. And holy crap, we could go through. No Man's Sky. Remember that? There have been so many games that have had this sort of a rollout. I don't think there's anything new there. And then they mentioned the field of view slider on consoles. Okay, I honestly, I really hadn't heard anyone on really complaining about that, but I don't know. What I noticed there isn't here is anyone talking about like there's no mention of performance issues. Not really. So and there's no mention whatsoever about like we're going to make performance so good that you don't need DLSS. If you don't like if they're not saying that, then I'd argue there's no response to pushback here at all.
Yeah, it's just the usual stuff. Yeah, I mean, I will say, I plan to get Borderlands 4 used on my PS5 because my PC, I'm still rocking the GTX 1080. I don't think it would even open this game. And I don't really want to give Randy Pitchford my money if I can avoid it. So I'm going to pick up a used copy at some point. And I guess not buy DLC because you can't do that physically. But yeah, so I don't know, just normal big game dev stuff. And if you're tired of games being buggy at launch, then shrimply do not buy them at launch. That's what I do.
Pretty much.
I got once. I was so excited for Starfield that I did do the pre-order stuff, but I played that on Xbox. That was mostly fine. The actual like quality of the game is a different argument, but like it worked. I didn't really have any issues there. Of course, they did do that weird thing where it was only playable on Xbox at 30 FPS at launch, and it took them like several more months to add a 60 FPS option, which was a little bit annoying, but it was fine. It's still playable. So
I believe I've only done one pre-order. That was Cyberpunk, and like I said in Discord whenever I said that. One, I knew Stadia makes it really, really easy to refund or made it really easy to refund games. So if it ended up playing like garbage, yeah, I just hit the button and refund it. No big deal. And I also I was also doing it because, frankly, it was kind of a why not. I that's right as I was deciding I would do more streaming on a regular basis, and so yeah, I figured I would jump in on the hot new thing, especially since I knew a lot of PC players wouldn't be able to play it, and a lot of console players wouldn't be able to play it. So it was kind of the right time to try to jump on something and get in there quick. So yeah, I didn't feel any real risk in jumping on that one. And who would have known? I ended up getting all my money back anyway. Thank you, Stadia, for crashing and burning.
Oh yeah, I did also pre-order Planet Coaster 2, but then I played that for a couple hours. I was like, I kind of just like the old one better. I don't really want to relearn everything they changed. So I've not gone back and played a lot of that, but it's, that seemed like it launched in an okay state. I just didn't really want it at the time.
Yeah. So yeah, cheers to that. That was that was the thing. Borderlands 4,
they gotta get Randy to shut up though. He's being really annoying. This is such cases,
as if that's a new thing.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a new thing. Many such cases of CEOs of large companies deciding to just antagonize their customers online, or just random people just getting into random fights on Twitter. They gotta cut that out. Someone's gotta take away Randy's phone for a while. Make him go outside. Don't harass anyone for a while. Go to the park or something with no one around to harass.
Yes. So from my own position, I don't know when I'll have some hardware that can play Borderlands 4 decently, because let's be honest, the console experience doesn't sound particularly great, especially I imagine on a Series S. So I'm not going to be rushing for that one. That being said, I'm sure I'll end up waiting until there's either like a Game of the Year edition, or at least like a big sale that includes the first season pass, something like that. I don't know. Somewhere in that territory. Once I can play it and it goes on a sale. Then I know I'm giving Randy some amount of money, but I can live with giving him very little, all things considered.
Speaking of
giving your money to rich companies,
but it's a free update. That doesn't work.
Somehow they're still extracting money through it.
That's true. Yeah. So speaking of something, all the Apple updates are out. So last week, Apple finally released the new iOS 26 and iPadOS 26 and macOS 26 Tahoe, and the related updates for the Apple Watch, Apple TV, and Vision Pro. Remember the Vision Pro, guys? Remember that?
Nobody remembers the Vision Pro.
No one remembers. And this is the big update that adds the liquid glass to all of the operating systems and apps, which of course Apple, we talked about it on here. Apple changed several times and is now appears to be a slightly toned down version of what they initially had, but still not really all that readable in a lot of places. Like if you go look at, especially on Mac, I saw Safari on Mac looks very janky. The music app on Mac looks pretty bad. There's been, I've seen even more screenshots of people using an iPhone and pointing out like text that is not readable because the contrast background's messed up on something. Just I don't know. Again, I don't have a super strong opinion on this because I know it will annoy me. So I turned off automatic updates on all my stuff. I'm not going to deal with that right now. Apple's still going to give me security updates on the previous OSs for a while. So I'm just going to stay on the last stuff until maybe the point one update, maybe later. I don't know. I'm not in a rush. But
Yeah, I'm with you. I see the update is listed. I have not installed it yet. I'm not planning to install it anytime soon because frankly, I kind of want to avoid the liquid GLS. Um but yeah, so I'm going to be just bumping up to Sequoia 15.7 for a little
yeah,
while. And
I just got that update the other day.
yeah.
What is it? 15.6.1? I did see a... Did I get that? I installed whatever minor update Apple released on the same day that wasn't there. But I think it's just 15 point... Oh, no, it is 15.7.
Yeah.
Then what did I install?
I have no idea what you installed.
I installed something else.
Corbin installed malware.
Yeah. A giant pop-up that said my OS is out of date, and I clicked it.
Maybe you're thinking of the Safari update.
Yeah, maybe something, or I got confused because I updated other things. But yeah, I'm staying off the major updates for now because I don't really want to deal with it, and I'm realistically not going to get any useful hashtag content out of upgrading right now, and then complaining about it in article form. So I'm just not going to do it right now.
Yeah, if I had some sort of content reason to do it, and or I had a separate machine that I could I could sacrifice to this purpose, then I'd be more interested in at least giving it a shot somewhere. But I've heard nothing but complaints about, obviously, one, the visual system, but two, that there's some stability and performance issues, and just people aren't that happy with this update. So
yeah, and there's nothing really added in it that I want.
No.
So like, why? So my only motivation here is to not get malware, but Apple's still patching the older OSs for a while, so I'm fine.
yeah, there's just not enough here to justify going forward, and I have a funny feeling this is going to be one of those things where Apple's probably looking at internal metrics for upgrades, and they're going to very adamantly not show us what the upgrade rate is like for...
I mean, I don't know, because like I don't think, normal people are not clued into what's going on with the beta. So I think my assumption would be roughly the same amount of people install the update as normal, and then once they get it, they're like, ew, what happened?
Yeah, but one, that could mean that one person in a household upgrades and tells everybody else not to. And I think there is still an element where people hear that, oh, the new Mac OS is out, and maybe they're lazy about installing it, or they're just not motivated at any particular moment. And then eventually they just hear from anybody, hey, this version sucks. And they're like, you know what? Maybe I'll wait on this a bit. That does happen. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen a lot, but it certainly happens. So, and Apple's constantly bragging about how, or not constantly, but often used to brag about their upgrade rates. I don't think they're gonna be able to do that this time. Even if it's just like a lot of developers saying, you know what, we kind of like the old thing and we are clued in, and there's gonna be a lot of Mac loyalists not loyalists, but enthusiasts who are gonna be looking at this and saying, I'm pretty happy with what I got. I'm just gonna stay on that for a little longer. I think that's gonna be a fairly substantial group. And to that point, I think it's worth calling out. Think about all the times for anyone who is on a Mac, think about all the times that new major OS version comes out, and then you see all of the Apple apps also get updates. They're almost always updating to add some sort of feature or tool or just change the look, whatever, of their stuff to relate to the new version. And here is going to be one of those cases where I think a whole lot of people are going to be like, oh, I want the new version of such and such app, but that means I have to upgrade my OS. I'm not doing that. And that's going to be an interesting stopping point.
Yeah, and Hoopy said this is also huge, like 28 gigabyte one, right? I was just checking my phone. For me, it says it's 6 gigs, but maybe that's because I have an intelligence-less iPhone 15, and the update is bigger for the ones that can run Apple Intelligence, because I'm sure it has an updated model in it. So that's probably part of it, but that's the storage is really, I think, always the thing that stops normal people from updating, because half the times I've tried to like help people with their phones, and I found that they're like on some iOS version from 3 years ago. It's always either like I didn't install the update because updates break things, or my phone is filled to the absolute brim and will not download updates anymore. Which I'm sure is why, like, I know Windows has a reserved disk space now for updates, so people can't do that. And I maybe a couple other operating systems too. I'm not sure what the Linux people are up to, but that's always a big thing with Apple devices. That is, if I was gonna guess, I think that's the main thing that holds people back from updating at this point, is just, whoops, my entire phone is filled with pictures. I'm not deleting anything for this update I don't really want. So
yeah,
which again would be great if like the updates through the computer still worked. You're supposed to be able to plug your iPhone or iPad or whatever into a Mac or Windows PC, download the update through there, and it will install it to the phone. It's never worked for me on like any of my Macs. I've not tried it like recently, but I've tried it a couple times with different phones and iPads. Never worked. I don't know if Apple actually tests that anymore, or maybe it only works on Windows. That'd be funny.
And yeah, as I don't know if Hoopy was specifically referring to the iPhone version, but as far as Mac OS, just for reference, the Tahoe update is 7.69 gigs, at least for my Mac. And I don't know if they're doing separate releases for each Mac, but I don't assume so.
Mine is also 7.69.
Okay. So yeah, I have a feeling that this is just a standard size. Whereas the Sequoia 15.7 update is 2.1 gigs. But I'm assuming that's because it's more of a Delta update.
Yeah, and I don't know how the Apple Intelligence stuff works, because I have that fully off, so I don't think that model is downloaded on my computer. I would assume not, but maybe it's a bigger update if you do have it on, or that just updates afterwards. I do not know. So I did say that there was nothing this update that I want. I did forget that Spotlight is a lot more useful now because they copied Raycast, which is nice, but again, that's not enough for me to upgrade at this moment.
Yeah, I feel like Raycast is still so much better than anything Spotlight's going to be that I'm pretty okay with not jumping to that. I do get it. There's some intel or actual AI chatbot skills attached to Spotlight now, which yes, does make it a little bit more useful, but yeah, I tend to think Raycast is still going to be far, far in the lead. Um,
So yeah, those updates are available. You can download them if you want. I have not.
correct.
Uh, Speaking of
So
Apple things,
yes,
um,
we'll break into the rumor mill for just a hot minute. Ming Chi Kuo is popping up with the news that I think everyone has been expecting for honestly like a decade, that Apple is going to put touchscreens into Macs. Um, so this came out earlier today. Basically, Ming Chi Kuo saying that MacBook models are going to start getting a touch panel built into them on the OLED MacBook Pros. That, as he says, he's expecting mass production by late 2026. I'm assuming that means that they're possibly going to actually like start selling in 2027 as opposed to releasing in 2026, but it's unclear. And that it's probably going to start with the Pros and may not make it to the regular MacBook models for anywhere from a year to possibly much longer. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much the rumor at this stage. It's not particularly detailed. There's not a lot here, but it's the thing that like I said, I think everyone's been expecting for ages. I literally remember when I got my first MacBook, I honestly did not know if they had touchscreens because iPads were already a thing, and it kind of just looked like an iPad screen. So I had to give it a shot. So sure enough, like I got my first MacBook, and first thing I did was, does it respond? No? Okay, good. Had to check. So yeah.
yeah,
If
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if anything, I think what this is also gonna do is, with this rumor out there, anyone who's paying attention to the rumor mill at all has just decided, cool, not buying another MacBook till these come out.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of expected they'd never do it at this point. Like they just didn't care. Like this would be the thing. This would be like what they did with Blu-ray drives, where there was like a while where everyone was like, why are you still putting these garbage DVD drives in Macs?" And Apple was like, "No, we're good actually." And then they just stopped putting disk drives in their computers entirely, along with everyone else. But there was a good couple years there where it was just like, okay, I guess this is not going to happen for whatever reason. So yeah, I mean, I guess for that reason, I'm kind of not sure if this would happen. Um, it again, it would make sense because the Macs run iPad apps now. So the arguments of you know, the I know the argument for this was always that like you can't make a good user interface for both a mouse and a touchscreen. Like you just have to design them differently, and you could see that every time you used a Windows PC, where there were some apps that were, you know, back when Microsoft was going all in on this, they had the Metro apps that were fully designed for a touchscreen and were not great to use with a mouse and keyboard. And then in the Windows 10 era, they scaled that back, and they had a mode where, like, I remember on my Surface Pro, when I was using it as a laptop, it would just be like a Windows PC. And then when I would switch to, you know, take it out of the dock or use it like a tablet, like the window controls would get bigger and some of the other buttons would get bigger, but like it still wasn't perfect because there'd be a lot of apps that still expected a mouse, and I'd have to do weird things to like right click. So, I mean, in theory, none of that should be a super big problem for Apple because they can exercise more control over the interface of their platform than Windows can. And their Macs already, you know, have a lot of apps that, if not are, if the apps are not just iPad apps, like literal ones that are recompiled or not even recompiled and put on the App Store. They're using a lot of the same code base and infrastructure. They're using, they're all using like Swift UI or whatever. So it shouldn't be that hard for Apple to do, but they haven't done it. Just probably so you buy an iPad. If you have apps you really want to use with the touchscreen, you buy an iPad 2 along with your MacBook, and then Apple pockets that. So I don't know. I expected they never would do it. So I'm not betting on this at the moment, but it would be nice for the people who want that.
So we've kind of had this discussion over the years. Basically, what does it take to develop, or what would happen if they ever introduce a touchscreen? How well would the software you use on a Mac adapt and adjust to that scenario? And the practical truth has been, certainly prior to Swift UI, the answer has been, oh yeah, that sucks. Because most of the tools made with it's not AppKit, it's because AppKit is the iOS thing. It's I had it in my head earlier, as I'm now blanking on it. Anyway, yes, UIKit. Yeah. Wait, is that right? No, I'm not even sure on that one. Anyway,
I'm not paying Apple $100 a year, so I don't use their software frameworks.
Right.
I don't make Apple apps. They make it too expensive.
So here's the thing. Anything that was developed on that that was only designed for building for a Mac interface, and it's not that you can't make controls that are the right size for touch use, but you have to do that very intentionally. And so anyone who's got an app built on UIKit, you are inherently going to have to just redo your entire interface if you want it to be touch friendly. And you can still do it in UIKit. It's just not ideal. That being said, it's not that streamlined in Swift UI either. It is easier, but it's not like it is in Android, where you could have a super fluid interface that just adapts based on whether, certain parameters are in place. It's something you'd still have to do a lot of redesigning for. You'd still have to sort of jump through some hoops. It'd just be more intuitive to do that process than it would be in UIKit. So yeah, I'm not seeing that as a particularly easy solution. That being said, I think Apple's kind of been, I don't want to say forced into this, but they've got to be feeling some pressure to do it. One, obviously, Windows has had this for more than a decade, or at least a decade, about a decade, whatever. Oh yeah, wait, more. What am I saying?
Still doesn't work well.
Oh no,
it still doesn't work well. But I do, I had a 2-in-1. I've had a few 2-in-1 laptops. I had a Chromebook that could flip, Asus Chromebook flip, and then I had a Lenovo laptop. And on my MacBook, especially because my MacBook screen is now like the best portable screen I have, it's really good. It is a little bit annoying when I just want to watch a show or something, and I have to have the keyboard in front because it cannot swivel around. Well, it can do that once. Yeah. it would not go back. So that would be nice. That's a feature that is pretty accessible now, and it's always been weird. I'm not the kind of person who's doing digital art or whatever else people work on touchscreens for long extensive time, but that's a pretty common one. It's just I want to watch some YouTube videos. I'm gonna put the laptop into tent mode or whatever.
So I had a Surface laptop, which I regret for so many reasons. But it did have a touchscreen. I did use it that way sometimes, and it was nice having it in some rare instances, but I certainly didn't use it on a regular basis. Which
Oh man, it would be so funny if the touchscreen MacBook is not a 2-in-1.
I would not bet on that at all. I know that sounds like something everyone expects, but I really would not bet on it being a 2-in-1. I fully expect that it's. Honestly, I think I expect it to stay more like a current MacBook. It's just going to gain a touch screen, and by that standard, people are going to say, "Oh, well, okay, yeah, we can use it that way." To be perfectly honest, I didn't think they were even going to do a touchscreen. I thought they were just going to do stylus support.
Yeah, but like it's so it would be really dumb if it has a touchscreen but it has the same design. It's like I'm not sure what that's for, because that's how my Surface laptop that I had for like 3 months and then sold is that it's just a normal laptop, but it had the touchscreen. The only thing I used the touchscreen for was like when a notification came up, it was faster for me to lift my finger and go whoop, swipe it away, than it was to move my touchpad cursor over.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really it.
Yeah, well, honestly, I know it sounds maybe a little crazy, but yeah, I fully don't expect anything different there. I mean, it could happen. I'm not discounting the possibility of them making it a 2-in-1, or maybe coming up with a design that's maybe that's what they've been hanging up on, is they don't want to create a traditional 2-in-1, but maybe they want something that's better.
I mean, with all their everything they're doing with like the new iPhone Air, people started taking it apart and putting it through X-ray machines, and they saw that the entire SoC was in the camera bump, and that's why it's enormous.
Yeah.
So I don't maybe Apple at some point could decide to do what again Microsoft did, arguably unsuccessfully, and just put the entire computer in the screen, and then when you want iPad, pop it off. They could do that. I'm not really confident.
You're thinking detachable.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking swivel, or somehow the screen flips around.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would hope is the minimum if they're doing a MacBook, is you can flip the screen back like like most 2-in-1s, but it would be kind of funny if they decided to do a detachable. Again, I don't really think they would do that, but
I don't even question it. I don't think a detachable is coming, because that's
literally what the iPad is. They will sell you an overpriced iPad and a keyboard dock that's like $400. Well, actually, Microsoft will do that too. The keyboard prices for newer Surface stuff is crazy. I mean, it's crazy when Apple does it too, but also companies that are not Apple make iPad keyboards too, and no one else makes keyboard for Surfaces.
Yeah, there's just, in my mind, there's no realistic chance that they make a detachable, because it's too close to an iPad. You're not accomplishing anything. Yeah, I think 1000% this is just going to be basically a MacBook Pro that has some sort of a screen that can flip around in some clever way. So the screen is on the outside, and hopefully the keyboard is hidden inside still, like a screen that can flip or can pivot on a central point. I think makes a lot more sense, but we'll see. Regardless, yeah, I don't see this stuff coming apart. I see this stuff just being firmly attached. And even that I think is an if. I think there is just as much possibility that they ship this as a laptop that's basically identical to the current laptops, but with a screen with a touch panel built in. That could, in my mind, still be 100% a likely possibility.
Which would be dumb, but that's Apple.
Yeah, but they like their stuff to actually be nice to use, and honestly, most 2-in-1s are not nice to use. Detachable stuff is terrible to use for the most
Yeah.
part. But even the stuff that has like screens that pivot or flip around, those seem neat and clever, and I kind of dig the attempt. But oh my god, they are just
I mean,
they're not nice.
it's usually just like the touchscreen part has like a weird coating because it's not really a tablet, and then every time you use it as a tablet for a while and you move it back to laptop mode, you have to look at all your finger smudges.
That too.
It gets really gross, but
Yeah, which is one of the things ever. I don't know if any Apple person ever said this, but I do remember a lot of other people asserting that that was why they didn't put touchscreens into stuff yet, because then people are inclined to touch screens, at which point they leave smudges on there, and that's ugly.
and for some reason Apple builds screens that are like the worst with fingerprints. Like just absolutely disgusting to the point where they have to sell like a custom cloth to clean it because it's weird. Like the little smudges I'll get on my MacBook as I'm just opening it like a normal laptop, is pretty gross. So
Why don't you wash your hands more?
wow.
But yeah,
I am super clean actually, except yesterday when I was very ill.
so yeah, like I said before, and I'll kind of reiterate this also for myself. Yeah, now that this rumor has come out, there's zero chance I'm buying a new MacBook Pro. I mean, I already can afford a new MacBook Pro, but yeah, there's zero chance I buy one before one of these. My M1 Max is handling great. I have enough RAM for pretty much anything that I'm doing, and until there is a touchscreen, I don't have any incentive to upgrade yet. And
Yeah,
a
because it can't.
touchscreen,
It still won't run Borderlands 4.
that too. Which, come on, Randy, where's the Mac version? Coward.
He is a coward. Argue with me, Randy, on 1v1 me on Blue Sky.
Randy, fly out to Oregon and we'll put you on video.
Yeah, I did have Tim Sweeney in my mentions at one point, so I can cross him off the list of CEOs yelling at me. It's not a very long list. I'm not that important.
That's fair enough. Okay, so moving on to the other big smartphone company.
Yeah. So I put this in the list because it's just so funny. Google is pulling its weather app from Wear OS watches. So I'll read from 9 to 5 Google here. They say after releasing with Wear OS 3, the Google Weather app is now going away on Wear OS 6. On Wear OS 5 and earlier, there are no changes. You can continue to use the Weather app. However, if you've installed the Weather app on Wear OS 6, the app is the app is no longer available for new installations. And Google was saying that watchmakers, have their own weather app, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think you say Wear OS manufacturers. I think there's like 2 of them now. I think it's just Samsung and Google, and then like occasionally Mobvoi. That's kind of what we're down to. So I don't know what Mobvoi is doing. I think Samsung has its own weather thing, but I don't. This would, I guess, so the main impact here is that Pixel watches won't get one anymore. So it's just, I don't get this. This is one of those things with Google, like Android tablets, where like it is not that difficult to just have a continuous thing like this. Like a weather app is not that difficult to pull off. But Google went forever without there like being an official one for Android. Like every time I had an Android phone, I was installing like AccuWeather. And then there was always like a very basic thing built into the Google app, and they had like widgets for it and stuff, but it was never that extensive. My missing thing was always like a radar, like very basic thing that was never really in the Google search. And then finally they expand that slightly, and they make a weather app that's just like a short link to wherever it lives in the Google app, and then they kept work. So they can't just make a normal weather app. This should not be that difficult. But for some reason it is, and Android devices are all the worse for it, because every third-party weather app is a nightmare. Now they're all filled to the brim with ads and probably selling your location data. That's definitely at least 2% of the reason I really like my iPhone. It's just it comes with a weather app that seems to work fine and has a map in it. That's all I need. I've never needed to download anything else.
So hot take. What Google should be doing here is they should start a project. Basically, when incoming interns or anyone ends up just kind of floating in the company for a little while without a specific assignment, which, as we all know, does happen, they should put them on the team to work on the weather app.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You have an enduring group of constantly rotating people. Just put them on the weather app. It's literally one of the easiest things to do. As we know,
I made a weather app.
Yeah.
Everyone makes a weather app. This is like one of the most basic starter projects.
Yeah.
Because there's a million APIs for them. You're just doing fun design stuff.
Pretty much. So, yeah, just put them on the weather app. And not only that, but, go to give them the extra added task of trying to make it a premier app for, whatever the current design language is, or whatever is trendy. Have them updating it with some regularity, specifically for the purpose of highlighting what the company is trying to show off. And maybe at that stage, the smart thing to do is not put it in the hands of interns, but to stick it in the hands of some of their design leads. Anything like that would be a really nice touch. So do that. That being said, I will quasi grant, if there were some good weather apps in the store, and I'm sure there are, I just don't know what they are or pay enough attention. I do like the notion that Google doesn't completely offer its own thing that basically sort of shuts out those apps. I like that there's still a possibility for a market of those apps, but at the same time, man, why is there not at least a moderately functional weather app, just as a universal thing?
Yeah, I don't get it. And again, it seems like something that should just be it doesn't, again, if your argument is trying not to kill every other weather app, which is fair, then it's just not part of the default apps, but just have it somewhere. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be pre-installed, but make one for the people who want it and don't want to give the Weather Channel and IBM their active location data. It's not that hard. There's a million API providers for this stuff. Apple has make a weather app with Apple's APIs. They let you do it.
Dude,
you can buy that.
Expensive. It is so expensive using their API for that.
But well, Google is already paying for this data because that's what's in the Google app. But that's not even the hard part anymore, except whatever's missing. I don't know what, if they have a radar or whatever, but just make one. It's not that hard.
Okay, I'm gonna sling a wild one at you. Here's the thing, Google, you are welcome to not make your own weather app. I'll tell you how. You're welcome to not make your own weather app. That is totally acceptable in my book. But the compromise is you have to go to the Play Store and do two things. Number one, you have to basically demote AccuWeather to like the lowest possible spot in search results forever. Well, not AccuWeather, Weather Channel. That's a crappy one. AccuWeather I don't love either, but that's for other reasons.
I think AccuWeather got worse. I know for a while I had the paid AccuWeather app. That was a one-time purchase a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I know I have that too, but it's been a long time since I've installed that. Second, force, and I'm using that word but intentionally, force your editorial team to put together a list that is regularly updated with the actual good weather apps, paid and free.
Yeah.
And by good weather apps, we're talking about the stuff that you would install for your parents, stuff that you would install for a weather enthusiast, stuff that you would install for people that just hate shitty apps. Because if that editorial list is good and it's highlighting other apps people can go use, okay, then there's a good path for people to just not have to. They don't have to struggle through 80 shit apps. They should be struggling through maybe 2 or 3 good apps that they just aren't going to like as much.
Yeah, this is ideally what like Google and Apple would use the front page of the Play Store for more often, instead of just showing me like what new show is on Disney Plus.
Well, what's worse is that's not even what they're showing you. 9 times out of 10, they're showing you, here's who paid the most to advertise on the front page, or here's who paid the most to be in search results. I don't care who paid the most anymore. Like that's not my problem anymore. You need to tell us what's actually good.
Every time I open the Apple App Store, it's like, oh, TikTok or Disney Plus or Roblox or something.
Yeah. If I wanted those things, I'd go get those things.
Yeah. Roblox cannot give me the weather. So yeah, I put that on the list because I'm like, I really don't know why they can't do this very simple thing. Just make a normal weather app with the basics on all your stuff. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 2 more things left. Austin said, "Are you streaming MetaConnect live?" No, that sounds like a nerd thing. I'm not the least I can observe Mark Zuckerberg, the better. The only time I want to observe him is in the Sweet Baby Ray's. No. Oh. Sure, in a contained environment, or in the Sweet Baby Ray's YouTube video. I love that one. Just the compilation of him saying Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce.
Oh boy.
Also the one in my YouTube likes of him like taking a like piece of toast off the counter, eating it, but it's edited so that every movement is a robot noise. That's a good one too. So he's a dork. So the other Android related thing is that Android will soon be able to theme every app icon without an opt-out mechanism. So
yeah,
kind of an extension of the feature that existed for a few years now, where apps are supposed to have an icon that is like monotone, so that the colors can be customized by the user based on the wallpaper or some other themed element. But some apps still don't have a themed icon because it's more work. So now for those, it sounds like Google is just going to make its best guess with the theming.
Well, yeah, more or less. it basically tries to grayscale a lot of things and or push them into um, something that can be toned. Um, so part of me, part of me is kind of unimpressed by this news because putting in an AI tool that does this, they already had some tools that could literally do this that weren't AI based, and from what I saw of them, they were generally pretty good. They weren't perfect, but they got it close enough. Um, as the article points out, there were a lot of reasons developers didn't do this. The two leading reasons, one is some companies just have very strict branding guidelines and basically say, you know what, Evernote has a specific color of green, and that's our brand. We really want that to shine through somewhere. Um, or I don't know, name whatever company has a very specific brand color, um, or like a contrast pair of colors.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a big part of their branding. Therefore, they want it to show through. Um, do I personally think that that's something that they should get to control as opposed to the user? No, actually, I'm in favor of the user controlling that. Basically, yeah, you know, your branding matters as up until the point that the user gets your app and puts it on their device, at which point your branding does not dictate my home screen. The other common reason that was given, games. Game icons tend to be very colorful, very splashy. Not always, but very, very frequently. And a lot more detailed. So yeah, 100,000%. Honestly, I, I don't think game developers should be even asked to try to come up with monochrome icons that they can put on the home screen and have themed. Um, I know that that's kind of counterintuitive, but it's dumb even asking them because they don't want to do it. Of course, they don't want to do it. That being said, hey, users are users. I think users have every right to change what things look like on their home screen. So the only thing that kind of bugs me about this is I'd almost rather there be other tools and not a built-in thing that does it. Austin, of course, said finally, which I gather is he's happy about this feature. I personally don't use it, so I don't have any opinion. I don't use themed icons. I like having colored icons because, frankly, it's a usability issue. Like, I think it's just more more reflexive that I can just look at a color, or I can just look for the brand color that I know is there and immediately hit it. That's why, honestly, it kind of irritates me every time a company rebrands and switches its color scheme, because all of a sudden it's like, damn, where the hell did the icon go?
Yeah.
I can be looking right at it and not recognize it sometimes because of that. But
Yeah,
every time the
like,
company changes its icon, the themed icons would also be screwed up. So, you know, nothing gets better there.
yeah, Apple added this like monochrome customizable color icons. I think in last year's iOS update, and now it's on the Mac with Mac OS 26, and I've never used it for that reason. Like it gets difficult to tell the apps apart, especially when everyone also does similar app designs.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets to the point where it's like literally all these icons look the same. So yeah, I don't do that either. Also, because I've never been one of those people that's like customizing my, or like I think this is, I understand this is popular with like the super dark theme people. Like I get that. I've never been one of those people. I'm like I'm okay with like a little bit of gray so I can read my phone screen. So yeah, I've never gone down that road. The furthest I got here was like, you know, 5, 8, 10 years ago with Android. I would have custom icon packs that, you know, had a similar design but not monochrome usually, just different, you know, some other different appearance, and that was nice to have.
Um, yeah, I will say, uh, I I I understand why people want this, but I would much prefer like actual custom icons made by somebody building like an icon pack. I know that that's not gonna work. Like if you install a lot of games, or if you're installing really any obscure app, not all of them are going to be covered by an icon pack. So that's it. It just is what it is. Um, but I'm also of the mindset that I don't know. I just don't care about icons themselves. Not to the level that this matters to me. And I don't show off my home screen a ton. Like, I mean, back when I was doing teardowns, I constantly did. But, yeah, it just isn't that much of a thing for me anymore. Though notably, this article did bring up one other aspect of this, which is the companies will now be required to basically agree to let users not just change the icon, which I don't think there was any real legal reason why a company could restrict or pursue somebody for changing the icon on their own home screen. But it also allows them, it also gives explicit permission to users to basically show screenshots or video or whatever of their home screen with the altered icons, which interesting. I get why this is there, because in theory companies could use this for really stupid things like issuing DMCAs, or well, not DMCAs, but basically issuing takedowns on videos on the basis of like a trademark infringement issue or something to that effect. And it could be used to take down, like, let's say, negative press or videos that are highlighting something wrong with that particular app developer's stuff. That was never the reason for those takedowns. It was always like somebody, let's say, figured out Uber was let's just say Uber was, I don't know, hypothetically tracking your location even when the app's not up, and maybe they're using it for malicious purposes and selling it, and somebody discovers this. If you happen to have a custom icon in place of Uber might be like, hey, we see that that's against our terms, that's a violation of whatever, this, that, and the other thing. Hey, YouTube, we want you to take down that video. And technically, they could have some sort of a legal standing for that, very, very loosely. That, in theory, is prevented in this scenario, but I'm sure that's happened, but I bet it's happened so few times that it didn't really need to be in here. But whatever. Like, I guess I'm glad that that clause is in here, because companies should not have control over a user's home screen. That is no longer a part of their app. So a user's home screen should be under the control of the user. To that point, it also should not be under the control of Google.
Yep. I can't wait for the next Android update that will make the app icon for Fox News colorful and sort of, blink to get your attention, and all other app icons will be dark gray.
Oh, you are going full dystopian there. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way things are going.
It really
is. I can't wait for my Pine phone to have to be my only functioning phone. It's gonna be real cool. So, okay, last thing I was just throwing this in because it's mildly interesting is the Alliance for Open Media, which is the industry group that develops the AV1 video codec, said that they are working on AV2, and it should be done by the end of the year. So, by the end of 2025, we should have a upgraded AV, new video codec just dropped. That will hopefully be even more efficient and cool than AV1. The only I know I'm sure they've published details about this somewhere, because I think there's already like experimental support and FFmpeg and those kinds of things. I didn't read any of that. I just read their blog post where they said AV2, a generation leap, and maybe they meant to say generational leap in open video coding, and the answer to the world's growing streaming demands, delivers significantly better compression performance than AV1. AV2 provides enhanced support for AR/VR applications, split screen delivery of multiple programs, improved handling of screen content, and an ability to operate over a wider visual quality range. AV2 marks a milestone on the path to an open, innovative future of media experiences. So if you don't know any of this, AV1 was video codec that dropped, I think, close to a decade ago. I want to say 2015, 2016-ish. And it was based on VP9, on Google's VP9, which was VP8. So kind of designed for like web in video, designed for streaming. The idea is lower data, like it's just better compression. So you get more pixels for the same bandwidth or less. And it started to get pretty popular because it was a, it saves you a lot of money if you're like Netflix and you're spending a lot of your money on bandwidth costs. If you're Netflix, if you're YouTube, if you're, one of those platforms, you can stream, as long as the end device supports it, you could stream AV1 and save a lot of money and infrastructure. And AV1 is, I don't think it's patent free. I think it's just royalty free.
Well, correct.
So yeah, so it's pretty easy to implement on devices. A lot of hardware that is now shipping has hardware decoding for AV1, so it can play it without really any issue at all, the same as any other video format. For the ones that don't have hardware decoding, there's a bunch of software layers on top for that. Really, that's just an issue on like very low powered devices that maybe can't run the software decoder. That was the whole thing with Roku a couple of years ago, is Google and Roku, or YouTube TV and Roku, were fighting, and allegedly part of that was that YouTube wanted to use AV1 and Roku is not, maybe still isn't, but wasn't shipping anything that supported AV1 at the hardware level. And because they're shipping the cheapest imaginable things, that didn't really work on there either. I don't know if that was fully true or not, but that was the speculation. But yeah, AV1's been pretty popular. I am interested to see, obviously now we're sort of restarting the process of hardware adoption with AV2. I'm hoping it'll be quicker than the first time, now that it's, it's a proven technology. Everyone's loving it. Even Apple, dragged their feet on it for forever because they, want you to use H.265 HEVC instead. But their newer hardware does have AV1 video decoding. I don't think they do like software decoding on earlier stuff, but they kind of support it. So, hopefully it'll be cool, and hopefully it will get pretty rapid support, because it's pretty cool to have online video streaming that looks good and doesn't use a lot of data. And there's been a lot of good uses of AV1, and before that VP8 and VP9, or not just Netflix, but like also just video chats and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm certainly happy to see that they're upgrading the spec. That's always a good thing. Or, well, maybe not always. I'm a little bit more incredulous about what I think this is necessarily going to bring. Because, well, I think the easy example of this is H.265. If you look at H.265 versus H.264, it is definitely more space efficient. It well, basically that's it. That is pretty much what H.265 offers. Is it makes videos of basically the same quality but smaller in size. So that's awesome. That's great. H.265, however, also came with a much higher demand in terms of processing requirement in order to decode that signal and to encode it. So, yeah, that's kind of what has me a little not skeptical about this, but I'm tempering my expectations. I have a funny feeling AV2 is probably going to certainly require new hardware in order to be efficient, but H.265 was a great example of one of those things where even with new hardware, a lot of times it just encoded slower, it decoded slower, it produced more heat when it was decoding, and it took other hardware changes in order to mitigate those things. I mean, we're talking about like actual like shrinking of die, or sorry, shrinking of nodes. Like you had to see other things improve to make H.265 not feel like a bad thing to be using. So yeah, I don't think AV2 is going to be bad. I'm just, like I said, tempering expectations because I think it's probably going to arrive and a whole lot of people are going to say, ooh, it's so cool, can't wait to use it. Oh crap, encoding in AV2 takes like 60% longer than encoding AV1. And hey, it's smaller, that's awesome, but it's only smaller by like 10%. Was this worth it? Maybe not. And, you know, it'll get better, especially as hardware comes in and gets better and better. But it's probably going to take a while still. Like even if companies adopt it quickly, it might take a while before the hardware actually catches up and has like good encoders and decoders.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up because Alyssa mentioned how long it might take for a new Google TV device to have hardware decoding for AV2, and it'll be a while because this always happens. Is like the specs got to get done, and then the whoever's making the GPU in the hardware has to get around to it, and that takes a while, and then takes even longer than that for one of those chipsets to find its way into hardware. Except like I think when AV1 came out, for like NVIDIA just made it like a GPU update because it could, it already had it, that was capable of happening with a software update, but not everything's like that. So I'm sure it'll take a while, but also video codecs is one of those things that like you don't really have to care about all that much because like every streaming provider, that's their thing to worry about. They got to worry about how much data they're using on their servers. I don't really care. Obviously it's nice to have it, especially if you're like the kind of person using Plex and like you kind of want like all of your library to be one compressed format, and when you have to convert that adds more cost and complexity and stuff. But yeah, so not really in terms of the list of things to be waiting on before you upgrade, that's maybe near the bottom, but it'd still be nice to have whenever it shows up for sure.
So Hoopy brings up an interesting point that I both agree with, but I think it's gonna be a challenge to see this reversed. So as he said, AV1 suffered from the success of H.265 and BP9 being too good and just supported enough. So here's the catch. I don't know that's like if AV2 comes out, and even if hardware support ends up happening relatively quickly, I don't think that we necessarily see that market share shifting. Because just for example, if you go around and check just how many people running Plex or Jellyfin, how many of these people have their personal libraries encoded in whatever particular format. What I think you're going to find is most of them still going H.265. I honestly don't even know if Plex supports AV1. I'm assuming it does, but I've never checked.
Yeah, I never heard anything.
And pretty much everybody, like if you go around looking at the fell off the back of the truck sources for video, yeah, it's a whole lot of H.264 and H.265. Not much in the way of AV1. In fact,
especially because
basically none.
Yeah, especially because Apple held out on VP8 and VP9 and AV1 for forever. So like, if you need to make your video in one format, you're probably still just doing H.264. It's kind of like how all of our flash drives are still FAT32.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, it kind of just works and everything, and it's okay. I don't really want to deal with more complexity than this.
Right. And the thing is, like, when AV2 comes out, what's the motivation going to be to switch to it? Like, AV1 is now pretty widely supported. In theory, everyone should be able to play AV1 with hardware decoding, and it should all be good, right? Why hasn't the scene switched to AV1? You'd think by now they would have. Or why haven't some of the other video streamers switched to AV1? By now they can. Like, all of the hardware that they're streaming to probably has hardware decoder support, or at least a large enough subset that it might be justified. Well, because they don't want to. And truth of the matter is, AV2 could come out, and unless it is a sea change, massive improvement, we're talking to the tune of like shooting out video that's like, just hypothetically, like 30% smaller than what H.265 can do, while maintaining at least the same quality, if not better. Unless that's happening, honestly, I don't think AV2 is going to get most companies to switch, at least not in a hurry. And if they're not in a hurry to switch, who knows how long it takes them. So yeah, I'm not going to bet on AV2 making big waves. Rather, I would bet on companies like Netflix, because Netflix is pretty tech forward. I would bet on Netflix probably being fairly quick to try to adopt it. They'll at least adopt support for it, and they'll stream it to devices that support it, but obviously they'll have to maintain support for older formats in the meantime. Just because Google has a pattern of screwing this up, I don't expect Google to have hardware support in any of their products for a while. And even once they do, we'll see how quickly YouTube adopts it and some of the other companies. Meanwhile, I don't know that I would really bet on Amazon supporting AV2 ever. Maybe they will. I don't know. I honestly don't even know what Amazon Prime uses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like all these services, like, my understanding is like Netflix uses AV1 as much as possible, like to the point where their apps have like client side decoders for the devices that can't run it. But like, I'm absolutely certain they still have, they're like, if you've ever used a YouTube downloader like YouTube DL, there's an option to show all the available formats, and there's always like 20.
Yeah.
Because way too many devices don't support one or the other. So
yeah, so it's every streaming service has to do a hodgepodge of different options, because that's just the way things are. But the question of how quickly is AV2 really going to expand, I think that's going to be, I don't want to be a doomsayer about this. I don't want to like detract from the fact that this will be a cool improvement. But man, I just don't think we're going to see a rapid uptake of AV2.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be. maybe a little bit faster than AV1 again, just
Hopefully.
because Apple Apple has been such a pain for all of but yeah, again, hopefully, because again, it's cool, and this is one of the things that like most people don't even think about, but does have appreciable benefits. Whether it's like, oh, my limited data phone plan goes a little bit further, or hey, my video calls at work even on my where I have shitty phone service. So it's always cool. It's cool to see this stuff slowly get better, even if you don't think about it.
So this does raise also the question, will H.266 end up getting pushed by this time pretty soon? And in a quick look, let's see, apparently H.266 was finalized back in 2020. It is designed for 4K and 8K streaming, VR 360 video, video conferencing, and of course, and adoption has been slow due to the complexity of encoding and decoding and its licensing fees compared to royalty-free codecs like AV1.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All my homies hate the MPEG group.
Yeah. This is, and that's the universal truth of this. Is the reason so many people did eventually jump on AV1 is, yeah, it costs less. You don't want to pay royalty fees for just encoding video.
Yeah, especially because I think it's still like a $1 download for Windows PCs. Like it's not built into Windows 11 because Microsoft doesn't want to eat that fee.
Well, and Apple's a part owner, so they just they just have it built in.
It's so this is the really funny part where if you learn enough about like the tech industry, it's just like, why didn't this happen? Oh, this one company has beef with someone else. And I know that's how like almost every industry works, but it's just funny in tech. Because I think maybe there's just more of a general idea of like, oh, this is the better technology, so it should win. Right? No,
not at all.
No,
it has never been like that.
That's why Windows is the way it is. You think Windows was the best? You think Windows won in the marketplace of ideas? No. Sorry. You think Internet Explorer won because it was the best browser? No.
To be fair, the counter argument to that just happens to be, yeah, but Windows is still around because of gaming.
Yeah.
And it's because
of Borderlands. Because when you save up enough for your new MacBook, it won't run Borderlands.
We don't know that. Maybe Randy will suddenly find the light and be like, you know what? These Macs are kind of cool. Let's try that. He's had some other hot takes that angered people. Why not? Maybe he can get one right for once.
He's gonna port fucking Duke Nukem Forever to Mac. That's gonna be the Mac game. That's all you get.
The Mac game for 2026, Duke Nukem Forever.
Yes.
And Assassin's Creed, whatever it's called next time.
Yeah. That's the Mac game for next year, and the one after that will be Duke Nukem.
Well, the one after that will always be Duke Nukem. Literally every year, the next year is going to have to be Duke Nukem Forever.
It keeps getting delayed. Like the Mac port keeps getting delayed for the same amount of time the original game was delayed. That would be a good bit, honestly. Randy should do that.
So when I'm 64 or something, I don't know. I'm just ballparking. Then yeah, Duke Nukem Forever for Mac can come out.
Yeah. And it'll still be the only Mac game that year.
Yes. Oh boy. It's this industry is so goofy. Well, with that, I think we've said about all there is to say.
Yep.
Correct? Woo!
I have nothing. I'm ready to get out of here. I still don't feel that good. I need to eat food.
I feel okay, but I want to eat some ice cream. So, yeah. With that, Corbin, is there anything you'd like to pitch or mention or discuss? Highlight, theorize. Don't say anything about Kirk.
Yeah. So obviously techathon.live. Make sure you're following the Twitch channel, or you set a reminder. If I had like more time to think about this, I would have added like a little add to your calendar button on the website. I didn't do that. So you got to just set a reminder for yourself. You got to help me out.
We will of course be bringing it up next week for sure. And with the day before, probably I will advertise it in my Discord, or Corbin might do it if he beats me to it, and all that good stuff. So we'll definitely be posting reminders.
Yeah, I gotta set up some scheduled buffer posts on my accounts to be annoying about it. The only other thing is I did a slight rebranding of the space bar. So if you've gone to the website lately, you've seen the new logo. I think it looks kind of nice. I made it an Inkscape. Well, I made it. You know, it's text with like a custom rectangle under it. Also, slight name change. I took out the. So now it's just spacebar. I don't know if I'm going to keep that because it is a little bit weird to refer to it now, but I think I like this better. But I might change it back. Who knows?
I mean, it does kind of sound like an after hours online chat room, but
yeah.
Or, you know, maybe all you need is to get Whoopi Goldberg to lose her sort of bad takes and come bartend it, and kind of could be a good setup.
Right, like 10 forward, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, good times. Go visit spacebar.news. Let's see. And before we get canceled, oh, come on. Can we get any more canceled than we already are? The answer, sadly, is yes, as crazy people can start doxing and knocking on doors. Anyway, so as for myself, as always, I will be back this weekend for some Overwatch, maybe other stuff, who knows. Same morning / noon times, time to start the stream, because I want to wait until pretty much the end of the month before I switch to another schedule. I have a feeling it might still be a little warm on a few more days. And we will, of course, be back next week with another RambleCast, where we will very likely, again, I will say for the 8th time this stream, we will remind you about Techathon. And who knows? There may be more to talk about. Hint, nudge, wink. More to talk about. And of course, all the usual news and hot takes, comments, thoughts, and whatever. But with that, thank you all for coming by, hanging out, and being part of the stream. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. And of course, huge thanks to supporters of the channel, David, Diablo, Austin, Carson, and Alyssa. Y'all are awesome. Yeah, I think that about covers it. So I hope you all have an excellent rest of your week, and we will catch you in Discord or in the next one. Good night, everybody.
Bye.